Hello, hello, everybody. It's Alida Hernandez, Rebooted Mindset. I'm back on other platforms like Facebook and YouTube, and I am on TikTok and approved on TikTok to stream through this platform. So I'll do my disclaimer first. So, how is everybody? Happy Tuesday. It's been a while. If you haven't been saving me on TikTok, um, I'm coming back, so I'm happy everybody comes in, and we're gonna have wellness today, right? Well, like I always say, it's never too late to reboot your mindset. So basically, that is that we can always get better every day. So today we're going to talk about breath work. You're probably like, what the heck is breath work, right? You breathe. You know how you breathe? Well, some people don't know how to breathe. You know how you go to the gym and the trainers will tell you, okay, when you do the exercise, you have to breathe in. When you do it the certain way and you breathe out, when you release the weight, I think it is. So breath work is in many things. And we're going to talk more today with our guest Gustavo Barni. He has been working on breath work and like the science behind the breath work, right? That it can control your body. It's like what we talk about. I looked it up. It's like the remote control for your system, right? I was looking this up and I was talking about this during the week. So I started Monday. What I'm doing is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I will be on from 12:30 to about 1:30, about an hour, like during lunchtime. So you're gonna start seeing me on Facebook and YouTube as well as always on TikTok. I have been doing TikTok for a couple of months now and wanted to, get everybody on here and I was just gonna look for something. I'm on a new program, so I'm learning. So bear with me. I'm looking for something. I don't know where it went. I guess I'll find it eventually when it comes up. Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh, I got it now. I was looking for the chat. So anyway, so I've been reading up and studying about breath work, and it's very very interesting. So in my experience, I learned like the box. It's like 4 4 4 4, and it's like a simple breath work, simple breathing exercise, right? That you basically you take 4 seconds to breathe in, you hold it for 4 seconds, and then when you release it, you take 4 seconds to release it, and then you hold it again, and you repeat the cycle. And what that does, what I've learned, is that it resets your nervous system, right? It starts slowing down your heart rate. It starts clearing your brain because now your heart rate's slowing, and you don't have that like fear, panic attack, all these things that come up when you're all stressed out, right? I remember I used to get so stressed out that what landed up happening is you can't think straight. You just can't think straight. You can't think straight because now you're in the middle of chaos or whatever's going on that has gotten you in that frenzy, right? So now you can't think straight. So even when you're as women, when we're pregnant, they tell us to breathe. What does that do? It helps us relax. When they give us the breathing exercises during before you give birth, so you're ready during labor, it's very similar. You're doing similar patterns of of breathing, right? There's different types of breathing. I just thought about it now that they do teach you breath work, but they don't tell you that it's called that, right? They didn't have a name. Let's just do some breathing for labor pains or something like that. But it does help. It does help in between you trying to not scream and the pain that you get into. So yeah, so we're going to talk about all this good stuff, and I'm so excited to have a guest again. I haven't had a guest for a little while. I've just been kind of running on solo mode, and but I do want to mention a couple of things, and I know Gus, when he comes in, he'll talk about that as well, and he'll elaborate, of course, on his side for breath on breathing. But one thing that I discovered, which I thought was really interesting, and I want to tell you guys, is that there's a science also behind breath work. Okay, because some people want the science, right? There's spiritual things, there's energy also, which Gus will speak about. And there's a science to it too. So people can understand it's just not, mumbo jumbo. We're not just making this up from thin air. It's actually does work. And there's scientific proof that there's it's like flipping the switch. On the science side, it's called flipping the switch. So you have like two nervous systems, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. I think I said it correctly. So the SNS, sorry, is your fight and flight response. So when you're stressed out and your breath becomes shallow and rapid, keeping up in a loop of high cortisol. So you got this high cortisol going on. You know, you can't breathe. You're, oh my God, you feel like your heart's going to come out of your chest, right? And that's your fight and flight because your body's saying danger, danger, something's going on, right? So I'm going to have to fight. So it starts fighting. It starts fighting, but you're not controlling it. You're letting it control you. So the whole point of doing the breath work is for now you become in control of how you're going to respond to the stressor. That's what we have to get to. So the parasympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest response. By consciously slowing the breath, we stimulate the vagus nerve, which sends a signal to the brain that the threat is gone. So that's the science behind it, right? That is saying, hey, slow down. It's okay. It's okay. You got this. You're in control. And that's the bottom line. You are in control. So once you realize that and you learn these patterns of breathing, then you can start decreasing the stress in your level, in your life. And trust me, I do a lot of breathing. I probably need to do more breathing, but I do a lot of breathing. I'm always, you catch me, all of a sudden I'm in the bathroom, like, okay, I got to breathe for a little while, calm myself down, let clear my head, and be able to deal with the situations that come along. So I don't know whether there's any clapping in this new program, so I'll have to do my own clapping. So anyway, I want to bring in Gustavo Barni, friend and a teacher. He's a teacher also because he teaches you how to do things yourself, how you are, like my girlfriend says, who just wrote a book. She says, the magic pill is you. And I think it's perfect because you are the magic pill. You don't need any external stuff. You can control your body, your mind. And then in turn, that starts, you become a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. And you realize that you're in control all the time. I don't know why we always think that we're not, or we feel like we're not. Because I know for years, I would say for at least 40 years, I was like going on just, fumes, as they say, and not really taking care of myself and understanding that I was the cure for so many things. It's taken me these last 9 years since I had the stroke to understand this. And which is, it's, if you think about it, it's wild. 50 years of my life, I was just, me voy pa acá, me voy pa allá. Like, I'm like, just, like a yo-yo, just go, just go. And it affected me. It affected my health. It affected my mental state. And until the point at, 50, I had the stroke, and it was like God put the brakes on me. He said, she just did a screeching halt and just put the brakes on and said, enough's enough. You've done enough. All right. So now you gotta slow it down. So that's exactly what I'm doing and trying to help everybody out there too. So with all that, let's bring in Gus. Woo, I'm doing my own clapping because I don't know where the clapping button is. Oh, where'd you go? There you go. Okay. There he is. How are you? Oh, wait, I got to unmute you. Sorry. There we go. There we go.
How's everything over there, Alida?
Good, good. Trying to learn about this breath work. I hope I did some justice of what I said and talking about breath work.
It's great. And I can't even begin to tell people how important this is, especially if you can get, put together the right sequence of breath. Because we're living in a society where we have chronic stress. We're in front of electronics all the time. We have the dopamine receptors, going. Uh, we're like looking at three things at the same time, and then we don't understand why we have so much cortisol, so much inflammation, and our bodies are just whacking out. And then all of a sudden we're depressed. We
Mm-hmm.
got anxiety. We can't sleep well. Um, you name it, we have it. And then illness comes because the body's not meant to accumulate that much stuff. And you get away with, a little bit more in your 20s and some in your 30s. But, you start to feel different. You start to say something, you know. Um, and this is what we do all our lives. We breathe. That's how you live. If you don't take a breath, you can't live.
Yep.
But what happens is you notice yourself every day as you get older, most people start to breathe more and more shallow.
Mm-hmm.
What is if you're breathing shallow, you're not getting oxygen to your heart the way that you need the heart. You're not getting it to your brain. And people say, "Well, I got this stuff. I'm chronically fatigued. I've got, all of these things, but there's not enough oxygen running through your body." And we're not saying that you got to breathe like this all day long,
Mm-hmm.
but we developed a 20-minute breath work that has different patterns. And what this thing does, it does incredible things for the circulation on your brain. It does good things for your heart. I mean, I'll tell you my story, like yours. My story is not nearly as what you had to go with a stroke and everything else, but I've been healthy almost all my life. I was a competitive boxer in amateur ranks at one time. And, so, I glided smoothly through health, through life. I mean, I had some stomach issues here and there, but never anything that kept me down or brought me to the hospital or anything like that.
DJ Mami Songa says that she says hello, and she says she starts sweating when she's missing oxygen. Like if she's like out of breath, then she starts sweating. Like
Well,
so.
yeah, this is what happens. We're just not getting enough oxygen to our brain. Now, that doesn't mean that we have to breathe like crazy every minute of every day. This is why this 20-minute breath carries you a long way. First, what it will do is what you will see is that we have a tendency of living in survival and fear. And, a lot of times our thoughts are so corrupted that, we make decisions that are really not that good for us. So this is what like nowadays. I said, you know what? I am not in optimal condition. I better not say anything. I keep my mouth and I will breathe now. I will do the 20-minute segment. And then all of a sudden, all the stuff that I was thinking of, because my left and my right hemispheres of the brain are now coordinating the way that they weren't just a few minutes ago. Now my thought pattern is completely different. I am now have become like way more intelligent. I'm not going to do this dumb thing that I was about to do 30 minutes ago. And now I'm saying, oh, wow, wow, I'm at peace. My heart is at peace. Everything is at peace. Uh, my body is aligned, meaning my head and my physical body is aligned because as we live this life that we're living now, that is such a material life and it's so complicated and we've made it difficult for ourselves. What happens is this: you might wake up in the morning and you might say, my head is feeling okay. I'm all right. But your body isn't. Somehow the stress is entered your body. And you're saying, what is going on here? Because I'm feeling distressed, yet I think my mind is all right, but my body is not all right. I've got, my stomach is like, you know in a death grip. My chest is doing something. I can't breathe that well. What that is that your body now has a mind of its own. Your
Mm.
brain has done so much to program your body that now it doesn't need your brain to do its own thing. And, simply put, you're in that, cortisol, excess cortisol and stress. And, that's why so many people, they come back from work and they still thinking about the thing they did. And now, it gets to a time to relax and They want to get to sleep. And now, the chattering mind is working them more. So, breath work, I believe now more than ever, it's so important. Um, you know, having, let me take one step back. Having moved into this house, I was at one point at 58. I was 58 years of age. I was biological age was 41. I was tested. I said, wow, I'm fantastic. My God, am I in great shape, you know? And another woman that was with me, she was 35 years old or 36, and her biological age was 39. So she was going in the wrong direction. And I could see it in her that she wasn't, all well. Now, I moved out of the house that I was in, and I moved into this house, not paying attention that the house had mold, had different things. I got brutally sick. I said,
Right.
well, my son doesn't have a problem. Yeah, but he's in his early 20s. So there's a difference if you're somebody in your 60s and you're somebody that's 20 years old. There's a big difference. So what they can assimilate as you get older, you can't assimilate. So, I was getting progressively worse. I mean, at one time my eyes were horrific. I'm still, working to recover. And the breath work has done a lot because I could go out there, I would be going to the gym, and leaving the car. I wouldn't know where the damn car was. And
Mm,
that's the break.
yeah. Oh
That's the
my.
break. And worse than that, because that was during the day. But if I went to the supermarket, like Broward Fish and Meat Market, they have a huge parking lot. I'd leave the car over there. It'd be nighttime, and I wouldn't have any idea where the car was. And because it's a little compact car, it could hide easily. So sometimes I was walking
Yeah,
around the parking
it's
lot,
true.
for-
Your car is
and I'm
little.
wow, the brain fog. I could see things like that. Standing by the refrigerator, not knowing what I wanted. All of these things that start to happen. You go in the room, you're looking, saying, what did I come here for? I need to get something. Well,
Hmm.
the truth of the matter with this breath work,
Hi
which
guys.
is really,
Thanks for being here.
it's a game. I can tell you this, that the brain fog has basically disappeared. That's why I make it a point to do it every day. And whether you're doing this breath work or some other breath work, you really need to take time for yourself. I
Yeah.
don't care what you do. If you can invest 20 minutes in yourself, because for whatever reason, because those 20 minutes of doing the breath work can be decompressing to your system for 4 or 5 hours until somebody triggers you. I mean, this is not foolproof. It's not bulletproof. We can be easily triggered, and they hit a sore spot, and all of a sudden, as stress goes up, cortisol goes up. We get discombobulated. You know? So
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just running around in this like haze, And for the longest time, I was running around like they say, like a chicken with no, head,
chicken without a head.
because you're running around, you're just running around, and you're like, what am I doing? Then you look and you go, what the heck was I doing? And just because you're confused, I notice it now. So, because I take care of mom and Titi and stuff. So it gets a little challenging some days. And then there's some days what I find is when I get worried about them, right? Because I take care, I want the best for them, to keep them here as long as I can, as long as they're healthy. So when something happens, something changes, then it affects me because now I'm like, what's going on? Like right now, I'm going through something with my aunt. Her mind is going this way, that way. I don't know what's happening. There's change happening. So I get upset a little bit, but I've been maintaining, which is really good for me. I'm proud of myself. I have to say that I've been able to like maintain my calmness. Sometimes you want to, you know what I mean? But I stop. I take those seconds just to stop a little bit, and move away from the situation. So I think that's a point that people need to understand. You have to move away from the situation, and even if in the bathroom, you can go do breath work for a few minutes just to get yourself right back to the like a good playing field there.
Yeah, it really is imperative. I mean, wasn't paying attention until, just recently. And this breath work has helped me enormously because now I'm not impulsive. The thing about it is this: you become more intelligent, just bottom line, because you got more oxygen coming to your head that you didn't have before. And I can't say for certain, but this is something that can hopefully prevent, all of these, illnesses that come, with our brains. And
Right.
that well, as we get older, doesn't allow us to operate like the way we would like to operate. We really have to have oxygen in our brain. If we can't, we got to take 20 minutes a day out of our time, regardless, to do that. Whether it's the breath work, that I'm teaching tomorrow. Here's my cheap plug. Tomorrow at Carmen Care, or which is in Boca Raton, or some other type of breath. I just happen to know that this breath, now we've done enough work with it. And what we do is we actually do a muscle testing before and after the breath work to see what's actually happened. Okay, what's going on with the chakras? We could see that sometimes people have 5 and 6
Mm.
chakras misaligned. Okay, because they're in stress, they're in a chronic situation. We don't even know that we're unconsciously going through these chronic situations. We
Yeah.
don't know until you actually feel better. That's when you know, oh, okay, I'm feeling different feeling, 2 hours ago. Wow. Okay, I did some breathing, I did this breath, and all of a sudden, wow, I am now, feeling more complete, feeling, like I'm not stepping on myself. I'm not cooking in my own sauce. And okay, I can move forward, and I'm not running around, like a chicken without a head. Not exactly. And as we're running around like this, we're not getting a lot done. We think, we got to run like crazy, and we're actually not completing anything. But if we're calm and collected because we did the breath, all of a sudden you have more intelligence. You're using more of your brain. And all of a sudden things become easier. You need to write somebody a text, if somebody, has done something nasty, you're about to write something very explosive. Now you communicate at a completely different level. You're writing something to somebody calm, collected, and you're getting your point across instead of making the other person defensive and come back and say, "You schmuck, why did you write that to me?" You know?
It's true. And the other thing is too, talking about texting people, right? You have to be so careful in this day and age, with social media and all this stuff. When you send a text to a person, if it's that important, pick up the phone and call the person or leave them a voice message, because words can be translated in a different manner when on the other side. So sometimes you want to be nice, and the other side, like you said, like, what the heck, she write me? Because you forgot a comma or a period or something, and it sounds totally different. So you have to remember that too. I was going to ask you a question, if you don't mind. I was going to ask you a question. So what I've experienced over the last years, and even since I met you, it's been about 3 years now that I know you,
Right.
that that's when I really started, you know, diving into breath work and learning about it. And I haven't been doing it every day. I think I do it already like a lifestyle. So I know when I'm getting stressed now, I know I need to stop. So that's what I have definitely learned that. So um that way I get myself out of trouble, like you said, you don't say what you want to regret.
So if you're doing good, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So it takes a while to do that. But what I want to say was, by constantly doing breath work, I know it shifts your brain, right? So does it shift it in the sense of that calmness then becomes a lifestyle, it becomes a routine?
This is what important to do this on a daily basis because it's cumulative. It's
Okay.
cumulative and it's cumulative to your health. I mean, I can't prove that. I can't go out on a ledge and say, this is exactly what's going to happen. But I can tell you from my personal experience that it creates, I know where the car is every time now. I don't have that brain fog. That to me is important because you kind of think is crap. What's going to happen to me in another 5 or 10 years if this is happening to me now? So, now through a process called applied kinesiology, muscle testing, we can actually test people before they do the breath work and then after doing the breath work. And I can tell you this, yesterday, I was doing the breath work with somebody. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
mention any name, but,
Share it.
her whole system was out of alignment. Every single chakra was off. Okay. How are you? Um, all the chakras were off. And, her mind, because she has, such a sharing mind that this is going like this, she can't sleep at night. So
Mm.
when we pick her brain, we could see that it wasn't coordinating. She's really struggling, and she would have attacks, where it kept her from being out of work for 15 days, just not that
Wow.
long ago, the last month. And
Wow.
and she's a very competent, young woman who's capable of anything. She's strong. She's got a strong mind, but she has uh, um, issues that are preventing her from, being able to fully express herself and being okay. She doesn't know when these panic attacks are coming, and all of a sudden she's got terrible stomach issues, and things start to happen, and she needs to do all kinds of things to try to get herself well, and that's horrible. But yesterday, what she told me, she goes, Gus, I can't believe how calm I am after this work.
Mm.
And she goes to me after we muscle tested her again. We did the applied kinesiology on her again, and everything was testing much better, including her vagus nerve, her brain, her circulation, just everything. The organs in the body, they're all communicating with themselves in a different way because there's oxygen flooding the body. Oxygen is life. No matter how you look at it, oxygen is life.
Yes.
And you can, if you take some time, I mean, and you can't just go like this. It's not, you got to breathe. You know what I mean? And the
Yep.
breath is, the sequence of the breath. We have, I would say, 4 different sequences in the breath work of this 20 minutes that creates an effect in the body that is unique. And again, uh, I will be teaching a class tomorrow at Carmen Care.
I think this is the flyer. Let me see if this is the right flyer. I don't know if I can see it completely. Hold on. I'm trying to move it.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying
yeah.
to. Let me see if it comes up. Ah, it's not showing the whole thing. What happened? Uh, well, I don't know what it's doing. Let me see if I
I
can do
don't,
this
but I
one.
don't. We don't have in that flyer is the number. So if
Yeah,
anybody
it's hard to
wants to,
see it right now. Mhm.
they could call Leslie, and I can give you a phone number. It's 561-405-9577. Again, I'll repeat it. For anybody that wants to take it down, it's in
Yeah.
Boca Raton, Carmen Care, and it's 561-405-9577. And she's located at 5765 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton, Florida.
And my
And
own
she's next to the,
stomping grounds.
I don't know, it's a lovely Italian restaurant. The food is very tasty there.
Oh,
Um,
nice. So if you guys are down in the Boca Raton area, Deerfield Beach, Pompano, I mean, all that area, Delray Beach, all that down south of South Florida, you can get to there. You can get over
you can get
to Boca, and then hopefully
I'll be doing all the testing, and I'll
do
test
some.
before and after,
What happened?
so people can see and understand what's actually taking place with them. because the whole idea is, you know, we all have to get older. We all there's no preventing us getting older, but do we really have to get old? I mean, that's the whole idea. Let's not get old and have all these illnesses come, our way. There's no reason. There's no reason that we have to be a part of the society, here in America that is going to, pass away from illnesses. This is what's ingrained in our minds today is that we are going to be diseased. And, that is not needed. If you can oxygenate your body, circulation for your heart,
Mhm.
for your blood, I mean, they're key
Mhm.
components. Lungs get filled. I mean, we test the lung meridians, we test the heart meridians, we test the liver. The liver cleanses. How does it cleanse? Through the blood, through oxygen. All of these things need to be we need to help our body. We can't just think, okay, we have this vehicle here and it's got to push along because our mind says so. We have to be good to our body. And if we don't breathe, we're not being good to our body.
Yep, exactly. And you'll notice that, I mean, besides that we have to breathe all the time, right? The whole thing is that like I mentioned before, when you go to the gym, so you know very well when you're working out with the weights or whatever machine you're doing, you have to breathe in, you have to breathe out, right? At a certain time to help you with the exercise. And then if people
Correct.
breathe too much, then you become hyperventilate, as they say. You can pass out because now you're like cutting your oxygen from. I've had that feeling.
Sure. 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 And for me, the gym, and I know for a lot of people that are regular in the gym, it's therapy. It's not just, okay, I'm working the muscles out and all of this. It's actually real therapy. We have to do things to decompress. So this is one of the things that we do for decompressing is going to the gym. The other thing is we have to breathe because for me, 20 minutes of breath, if I am able to buy 5 good hours after the breath, that's
Mhm.
enormous. That's huge. It doesn't get better than that. That means that I have not gone into a chronic cycle, okay, a mindset that could be negative. That at times I know, why am I like this? I'm saying to myself, what
Mhm.
is going yeah, awareness is extremely important. Know where you're at the time that you're there. How much longer do I want to continue in this cycle? You have to ask. Okay, I've done it for an hour. Now I've done it for 2. I've done it for 3. Like that's what happened today. I said, okay. On the 4th hour, I said, time to breathe. Let's break the stresses and stress because of my mother, other issues.
Right.
It's difficult. Parents are aging, they're still alive in the 90s, and you have to deal with everything that comes with it. And,
Yeah.
the craziness that can really, you know, uh,
So this is
be
this
dismantled.
look, this is something we have to break it down at another time so we can give people examples. Like Mayra was telling me, she was saying it's nice to do a review live, like you do it live. You know how you do the muscle testing and all that stuff. If we can do that live, and show people how it works, and because like I said, there's a science behind it too. I mean, besides and the energy that we have and the ability to do these things ourselves, because that's what we're made, like they say, in God's likeness. So we have these abilities ourselves. People don't realize
No
it.
question, no question about it. And what I like about applied kinesiology is that the spirit and the physical meet. So you can get answers that you need, and you can see right there and then that this is happening. Now, with this individual that I was treating yesterday, what ended up happening to her? She calls me up today, Gus, you have no idea how well I slept last night. I
Mm,
can't tell you how great I feel from, I haven't had a good night's sleep in who knows how long, and I'm feeling fantastic from this. So I love it when people say that. That's what, my work is all about. If I'm helping, great. If I'm not helping, then okay, let me try doing something else because I'm not there to not help. I'm
right.
very confident of this breath work, and I'm very confident on what it can do, you know, at this point anecdotally, but I would love to get like a clinical study done, Okay, well, we can put your electrodes to your brain and see what's actually happening so that you could be smooth instead of being out here, battling a beta state of mind, fighting with the computer, fighting with people out there, this, that, having people take you off balance and this and that. And we all have triggers. So it just, it's the way it is. But, having said that, we all have triggers. You'd be surprised how you can handle them if you have cleansed everything out. Your heart is in an open, a nice open space. Brain is coordinating. The left and the right hemispheres of the brain is coordinating. All of a sudden, what somebody said that would have upset you when you're in a beta state of mind is now not upsetting you in a theta state of mind, and that you can actually communicate with these individuals in a very different way and make a point instead of making them defensive. So you create real healing in you that actually allows you to respond in a different way to somebody else. And that's crucial in this life because we have to interact with people, and not all people are nice. Some people.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to deal with a lot of situations all day. So yeah, I was just thinking about this is a great thing to do. I've been trying to do it. I'm doing live now Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at lunchtime. So I'll be back again tomorrow at lunchtime. So I'm going to recap some of this stuff and talk about it again, and have people, go look at the video so they can understand a little bit about what breath work is. And oh wait, JC was asking me, yes, mashed potatoes, JC. I left the potatoes, like, what do I do? So, and Rochelle was here. Hey Rochelle, thanks for being here. And yeah, Rochelle, I know you. You can get you know how we are, we're Latina women, we can get hot headed, and we're active. I was talking about that earlier yesterday, that we're reactive. We have to be not reactive but responsive. Like, not, if you react,
we,
it's
we
because
have
you.
fervor. We have to be able to pull our physical presence out of there. Like you have to also have an etheric body. You can actually look at an individual and take 3 steps to the right, okay? While your physical body's here, but you can look at them from like this side here and look at them, and you'll see the upset that they have, and they're not in the right state of mind, and this and that, and they're talking to you, and they're saying things. And the thing is this: let's not take that personal, because it's not coming from your mind; it's somebody else's mind. So if it's not your mind, why the hell are you going to whack yourself with their information? Now, it's easy to whack yourself if you're in a beta state of mind, and this person is also in a beta state of mind, and is in a high beta state of mind, and therefore now they're going to take you to a higher state, a higher beta state of mind. Now you're both, it's like force versus force, and you explode. This is
Like,
what happens.
it's like two guys at a football game.
So,
um,
I mean, it's like road rage. I mean, if somebody
oh
cuts you
yeah,
off, accelerating behind them, you're going to cut them off, or whatever the case is. It's like an ongoing beta state of mind. And
yeah.
we can't think critically at that point. The intellect goes out the window.
Oh yeah.
We, we become dumb as a box of rocks.
That's true.
That's really what happens. Our brain is so disheveled at that point that who the hell knows what we're going to say next.
Yeah,
And then we
that's
say,
why.
did I do this stuff? And if you breathe and you do all that afterwards, you do this 20-minute breath, and you're going to look at yourself. I must have been, I could have used a straitjacket at that point because I was out of my mind.
It's true. Oh my gosh. You get to the point. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I've been there. Like, I've been on the road
Sure.
and felt that road rage, right? And you're like, let me follow them. And then you go, what the hell am I doing? Why will I follow? So what am I gonna do? Like, really?
And why give them so much importance? Some, I mean, some, rockhead. Why are we going to give somebody that kind of importance? We're much more important.
Yeah.
We don't deserve to do that to ourselves and give somebody who doesn't have a clue what they're doing. They're rushing to get somewhere. They might get there a second and a half sooner than you
I
are.
know.
And for what reason? And then
Yeah.
they're going to stand around. And what does that mean? What
I
exactly? What is?
I get to a point now that when I'm driving, I have to. A lot of times, I just don't drive. I let JC drive because sometimes it's too much for me. Like it gets, I go out, but sometimes it's just wow. So I guess I'm gonna have to do some breath work before I go out anywhere for a long distance.
I think I'll tell you, Alita. I truly believe that, of course, if a lot of triggers are not pushed, that breath work that can carry you 5 hours
Mm,
of a very, possibly deep beta state of mind where cortisol is running high, okay, to
right.
a way better state where you're just flowing, you're in the zone, and all of a sudden you're thinking better, you're doing things better, everything is just happening the way that you want them to happen. It's like, everybody has like today is very popular to have manifestation courses. Come over here, think
Right.
positive, and you're going to do better, and you're going to have more money, and you're going to have more love, and all of this thing. Well, let's face it, positive affirmations, okay, in a beta state of mind, what do you think actually happens to those positive affirmations when you're not on the right state of mind? You're saying to yourself, I'm a beautiful person, I'm great, I'm this, I'm that. And then your critical mind, okay, the gatekeeper is actually saying, you're not that.
Oh my God.
Ah, you know, you're not rich. You're poor. You poor bastard. You're not rich. You know,
Yeah.
uh, you
Yeah.
know, love. Love is coming to me. Love's not coming to you. Then the gatekeeper's actually telling you, the negative. So what happens? The positive is going to be canceled by the negative. Now,
Mm,
if we can't achieve a higher state of mind, there's no chance of any of this sticking. And this is why, people have such a difficult time manifesting. So, going back again to the breath work, those precious hours after you've done the breath work are, very, very relative because they can allow you to do things that you might not be able to do beforehand.
right. And I mentioned just one simple breath work that I know, the box. They call it the box. The 444.
Yes.
I think that's the easiest one to people remember. So if they want to try the breath work, and it means, just to start, sit comfortably somewhere, preferably, right? Get comfortable.
Yeah.
And then if you want to demonstrate the 444 so people can do it,
Well,
or you
yeah,
want to
sure. You breathe in for four. You're breathing through your nose for 4 seconds. Up slow. Hold for four and release for four. Doing 10 or 15 of those breaths in cycles will help calm your mind and do things. Now, I haven't done any clinical work as you know of observation of how that breath work, but I have done this one, and I know it's intense because it does clean up the chakras. It does do a lot to the meridian points in our body. And for me, the most important things is circulation. What's happening with the heart?
Mm,
What's happening with the brain? I mean, these are things. How are we detoxifying? So, but you do have to put some time into it. People can't just, take a couple of breaths and that's the end of it. I really do believe that you could do 20 minutes and you will notice the benefits and receive what you're supposed to receive from it. And this is a unique breath. I don't know of anything like it. There could be something better, but I don't.
Right.
I mean, first, this we've taken it for a real test drive. And what it has done in every single person, bar none, it has created a shift. I'm not going to tell you that shift holds on to permanently. That would be very untruth. That would be untruthful. That's not the case. But you might be able to go 4, 5, 6 hours in a beautiful state afterwards. And you know what? That does a lot to replenish your body because your
Right.
body can only replenish in two things is during your uh, your day, and your day, the less you can be in a high beta state of mind, and the more that you can enter into an alpha theta state of mind, the better you're going to be, the better your health has to be,
Right.
and then the other thing is, if you've done this breath enough, it's going to kick into your sleep, because the
Mhm.
sleep, if you don't sleep well, you are draining your body.
Oh
You
yeah.
are causing it to age rapidly. It's just the way it is. We're
Yeah.
meant to be, living through the moon and the sun cycle. Okay, the moon goes up and we go to sleep. The
Right.
sun goes up, we
We get
wake
up.
up.
Yep.
Person.
Yep.
That's so you got to get your rhythmic cycle going.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do this breath right before going to sleep, because I don't think that that's a good idea. But a couple of hours, 2, 3 hours, I would just do it anytime that you are feeling that, okay, my system is not okay. I'm aware of it. Be aware of it and ask a question. You got to ask yourself, am I okay right now? And be honest. I'm feeling something choking in my chest. Okay. My mind feels okay, but my mind and my heart, my stomach, they're not exactly coordinated, because there's other brains that we have. We think
Yeah.
that everything is, well, that's not true. But what came from here has already trained everything in here. So now, it's singing to its own tune. It's saying, okay, I don't have to listen to you. I'm already screwed up in here, and that's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, what, the whole thing is that this and this, they have to flow. This has to go, where they come together, and all of a sudden you'll find out very simply that you're able to take a deep lung breath, like you're really able to fill the full lung to the full capacity, and you're able to let go of the breath. And that really can only happen when you are not breathing shallow and you are not in that beta state of mind. It's not happening in a beta state of mind. You try to take a deep breath, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden the only thing that you take is a half breath. If you're lucky, you take 2/3 of a breath, but you're not able to take a full breath. And that is a big difference. That is a big difference.
And this is
So,
something that anybody can do, child,
and,
adult, you know what I mean? Anybody can do this. I if I knew this before, when I had my kids were little, I would have trained my children, my little kids, when they're in school, because so much pressure these children go under in school, peer pressure and things like that. And you hear it all the time about kids being depressed. And I'm like, why could a kid be depressed at 12 years old? But it's, society and the social media, all this stuff.
yeah,
No, it's part of
yes,
it. So now we have to get to the next level to how can we take back control of our emotion, our breathing, our because I know I had an experience one time. I was working at a place and I got very upset about something happened. I was very, very upset and I let myself emotionally, react to the situation to the point that I remember I was like, I feel like I can't breathe. And my blood pressure went up, skyrocketing. And I went down to the pharmacy, took my blood pressure and I go, oh no, it's a little high. And I walked into the emergency room and they're like, oh, your blood pressure's a little high. I said, yeah, I got upset. And I spent all this time over there. All I had to do was just sit down, start breathing. I could have avoided all that. But because you're in a panic mode, you're right, you're in a panic mode. I can't breathe, my heart, maybe it's my heart. And now you're making like I say, the novela, the soap opera in your head, right?
this so.
The soap opera on chapter. I'm on chapter 5 already. It's like it's going. The each chapter you're making more chapters while you're going through this whole scenario, right? And then you're like, really? Now I learn now. Instead of going through all that, just stop first. Stop and recenter yourself. But again, it goes with, I always say, rebooting the mindset. It's all about changing the way you think about it.
And reboot, exactly. Reboot mindset. That's a must. If we're going to live a long life healthy, I mean, how long you live, nobody knows. But we do have free will and free choice, and we do have a lot of power over how we're going to live. I don't want to be in a nursing home for the last 20 years of my life or anything else. I see how people are treated in these places. It's horrible. You become a numbers game. That's why, careful about getting with the medical community. You want to stay strong and healthy. And I can tell you this from having tested enough people, that very well be the way to go. May very well be the way to go. And people will be telling me 60 days from now, wow, my vibrations are up. I'm feeling better. I'm better on a daily basis. And that's because you're doing it every day. So you're taking 20 minutes out of your day, and you're all of a sudden, you are vibrating at a higher state. Your intelligence goes up. You're able to coordinate things. You're able to think without any chronic stress coming through you. It's like you have a gorilla on your back that is keeping you down. And now you're able to think. You're able to think with clarity. And that's imperative for a healthy life, for, being able to rest your body and being able to rest your mind. So you live by oxygen. You run out of oxygen, you're dead within 7 minutes, you are dead. You can be without food for some time. You can even be without water for some time, but you cannot be without oxygen for very long. Everything runs through oxygen.
Yep.
So your heart, your brain, you name it, your organs, and that's why it's imperative. It really is imperative that people take a look at this and say, okay, I am not going to be with everybody else with chronic stress, high cortisols, getting sick, needing to be at the doctor's office all the time, with the doctor, writing you a script.
Yeah, I was just saying hi. Yeah, the nervous system, it's controlling that nervous system. Somebody was saying the nervous system. I go, of course, it controls your nervous system. I looked up the vagus nerve that goes from the stem of your.
Exactly. I know exactly how to test for the vagus nerve, and you'll find a big difference in somebody that's chronically in a beta state of mind than somebody that's in an alpha theta state of mind on a regular basis, meaning they are controlling their emotions much better, and they're actually healthier. Their system is healthier. And this is what we shoot for. So and we can all be triggered. There's just things that we all have triggers. We all got parents. We all have we have our kids. Our kids can trigger us. I mean, our kids are a blessing, an ass whipping in disguise also. So
I needed this breath work when I had little children. Okay. So I'm telling
I
you,
know.
yes, we need to do separate class. We got to do a class for like young mothers and get their children involved in that. I think I see the vision, right? Having young mothers, they have newborns, and then they can, and they can, they're doing the breath work themselves. They can show their babies,
Right, right. Having been a single father and having twins, I have 3 kids, but having twins, as a single parent and going to the park, and one person goes this way and the other one goes that way, you got to have eyes in the back of your head, and you're stressed because you can't see where your kid is for 1 or 2 minutes. That's not much fun. So, for those individuals that, that are being tortured this way and have chronic depression or anxiety, stress is going high. This is better than anything for them.
Yeah.
I don't see how that, something, a prescription medication that dumbs you down to no end. It will be anything like this, which helps you to think like a genius instead of, a dummy,
Yeah.
which, you're that's to calm you down, to try to make you understand that you can no longer think. And this way you don't have so many lousy thoughts. They drug you up.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Maida was saying that so true with kids. Some are blessings and some are oof, you know. And she has like
yeah,
I forgot, she has several children and grandchildren, so she's going through it herself. That that you need time to do that. DJ Mami Songa, you need time for yourself, even if you have to hide in the walk-in closet. You know what I mean? Yeah, where they can't find you.
whatever you have to do, because at the end of the day is we got to respect ourselves. If
Yeah,
we're just going to grind and grind and grind, just trying to grind through everything, we're not respecting ourselves. We're not being good to ourselves. And then we don't know why we're breaking down, because we haven't done the work that we need to do to carry this body forward in this lifetime the way it needs to carry forward. Because what you don't, you're going to pay the price. If you don't do what you need to do now, you will definitely pay the price later.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah. And
these
we still got time. If you're living and you're breathing, you got time. Okay.
you oh I because everybody says I don't have time.
No,
I
yes, you
just
do.
don't have time. And then when you have that heart attack, oh well, I guess you got to make a lot of time now when you're in the hospital and they're doing a quadruple bypass
I know a couple of
or
people that just had that done not too long ago, and thank God that they're living and they survived it. But it's very traumatic. And then this will help people like that. If you had any open heart surgery or any kind of surgery that you need support with, this really helps. A lot. Melly was saying that she was true. She was remembering the other day or time that she lost her daughter at Macy's Herald Square. She was very traumatic. I'm guessing you find your child. So she says the
yeah,
system we live in is designed to destroy us mentally and physically. Well, the thing
yes.
is, it's so weird because I find that our system, um, it instead of our medical system is completely different. So if you look it up, I've already said it before because I have to be careful what I say on social media. But if you look up Western medicine, it talks about the treatments of like illnesses, right? With medication, with pharmaceutical drugs. It actually says that with pharmaceutical drugs to treat the whatever it is, right? So they treat what you have, they treat your symptoms and say, oh, well, because this system, it says on the book, you got this. Not about you individually. They go, oh, sore throat. Oh, you got this. Oh, you might have strep. Oh, you got the flu. Everybody has the flu, right? During this time when the winter and the change of time, everybody, all of a sudden, everybody know I have the flu. It's not the flu, guys. It was allergies. you know?
Oh, no, exactly, exactly. All of that is kicking in, and you have to try to find a doctor that gives you the solution, and it's not a script writer. It's not just a script writer.
Right.
That's a drug pusher. That's not a
Yeah.
that's not a real doctor.
And that's legal.
That's a legal drug pusher.
Think about that.
Because I mean, I've done treatment in drug rehab. Okay, using the heart conscious therapy, which is another thing that I want to introduce. 9 steps to a healthy mind. Doing these things, and what happens to these people? That some of these people, they didn't start with heroin. They
Mm.
started with oxycodone or one of these things for the pain. I remember a soccer player that injured his back, and then all of a sudden he couldn't get the medication. They already had him hooked, so he went from that to heroin. And
Ooh.
then of course you have to work on them in a spiritual way so that they can come back to society. And this is where you have to take beliefs and stuck energy in them through energy psychology, which helps open up space inside the body, and then they can start functioning more normally.
Yeah.
And this is something that happens really in drug rehabs. They got terrible food. All of a sudden, everybody's got hot dogs, hamburgers, pizza, and
Yeah.
these individuals are I'm getting off the topic right now for a second, but you could see how they're not being helped. We are still
Correct.
dealing with a system that I would never say is broken. I would never say it's broken. It has been created this way, which is much worse
Yeah.
than being broken.
Yeah. And
If it was
unfortunately,
broken,
yeah. Yeah.
it was created like this.
And there's
So,
great things, and there's great things that they can
course,
do
there,
when it comes to a leg, an arm. Like you need repair. Things like that, like traumatic things that they do, open heart surgery, brain surgery. There's a
oh,
lot of advances and stuff like that. But there's other ways to live, and that's what we're talking about. It's like it's a lifestyle, so you have to embrace it. I mean, if you go to regular medical doctors, that's your choice. But
right.
there are other types of medical, holistic, natural acupuncture, things like that, which I really go to first. I go to the Chinese doctor, to the acupuncturist, because they've been doing this for thousands of years, and they have a natural system of medications, and they're all herbs. Everything comes from the ground. Okay, everything is an herb or root or bark or something, and there's no side effect. It just doesn't taste good, but it's no side effect.
And this is real functional medicine. You really want to get involved in functional medicine. Now, I will tell you this: if I get into a car accident and some of my organs are on the other side of the street, I don't want to call an herbalist. Right now, I want a really good surgeon to come and put my stuff back inside of me and hopefully live another 30 years. But, so we have to know, we have to choose, and we have to choose well, and we have to be smart. And we do need to cross-reference information always. Everybody now, it's all sound bites. Everybody's pushing something. And, you got to really cross-reference things.
Yeah, yeah. So Melly was telling me again that she says she tries to tell her father that the primary care physician is just your manager. He works for you. And that's true. That's a
Right.
good point. That's a good point to say. Yeah, he works, but the thing is that there's a disconnect with most people because we've been conditioned this way, right? We've been conditioned to believe that all the physicians that we go to have our best interests. They believe they have the best interest for us. Because remember, they've been trained in the same school. So they all learn the
They-
same. They're all reading the same book.
they're the
So
same book, and as a matter of fact, now things are changing. With whatever. Hey, is going to have nutrition in medical school, and things that medical doctors don't know. I mean, I will tell you this, my Cuban doctor, she's a young woman, 38, she's lovely, very, she knows a lot of stuff. She didn't know a macro from a micro. So I said, oh, damn, she had to look it up on her medical AI. Well, nowadays, people can do that, and the doctor does the same thing. Oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay, so you want to
I can do that too.
this, I could do that too. So I asked them, I asked them, this is what I want in my blood work. Unfortunately, not everything goes that way because I mean, I'm, just over 65, and therefore I'm on Medicare. But, these, state-run programs and the way the insurance is and what they do is they only want to test you to see what possible illnesses they are so they could prescribe medication. But if it's for advancing your health, they're not so interested. They're not so interested. That's the problem that we run into. So the system is not broken. It was just never right.
Right,
That's
right.
it is, and be alert. We really have to be,
We have to be
smart
alert.
about
So I believe that once we get into that, understand that yes, you are in control, So, like Melly was saying that, they work for you, right? It's true, but you also have to realize you have to have you have to change the way you think about life, about medicine, about healing, because they never go to a regular doctor. They never say the word healing, that they're going to heal you, that it's going to go away. No. Okay. And, um, that's the issue. I went to my Chinese doctor. She prescribed 3 weeks of this herbal, medicine that I had to drink twice a day for 3 weeks, right? Drank those, got rid of the ringing in my ear, got rid of all these other symptoms that I had. But it was 3 weeks that I just drank this medicine, and then it went away. So I rather do something for 3 weeks, and maybe you have to pay a little bit more, but it's worth me spending an extra $100 or $200, whatever it is, to get the proper care and never have to take a pill anymore,
Correct.
So
I
that's
mean,
why, yeah. Go ahead.
and people, it's almost like we got to get out of the thinking, okay, I have certain insurance. The insurance will pay for this, but it won't pay for that. Therefore, I'm going to let the criminal doctor whack me and give me these drugs that are going to hammer my kidneys. And I'm not going to go to this other guy who may be able to help me. And,
Yeah.
I'll have a natural way of repairing. So we really got to be very choosy, with our things. I almost would tell you, have the least amount, pay the least amount for your medical insurance. Okay, if you can, have the highest deductible, and try to stay with finding a good alternative doctor. I mean, it could be an MD, it doesn't have to be, but
Right.
somebody that
Exactly.
knows functional medicine, that
Yes.
they have to really know through functional medicine, and that he's on your side, and,
Yep.
not saying to you, well, you're this way because you're too fat, or you're this way because you're too old. So they'll look at you up and
Yeah.
down, and they'll say, you got this or that, well, you're too fat, or you're too old, and therefore accept it. And that's just not a good answer.
No.
That's by no, I
I had
run
a
the hell out of it.
doctor. I had a doctor. I went into this one doctor. I never went back to him again. And he told me, well, you're fat. You have to lose weight. Literally, he said that to me. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, I think there's a better little way to tell me that. Yeah, you have to lose this weight, so go lose it. Oh, like if it was that easy, I would have lost it already. But my stress level was up here. I had just had a baby. My baby was like less than a year old. I had all that extra weight. And then with the stress of a newborn, which nobody prepares
Oh,
you for either. So now I'm like, I gotta look at this baby like, what am I doing? you know, we didn't
yeah,
we didn't have
we don't
cell
get it
phones. We didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones back then when we had kids, okay?
right, for sure, for sure.
So
And,
anyway, so I just want to, let people know. I know we've been talking about an hour now, so I'm gonna get towards the end here. But Gus is going to be doing stuff. He is local to South Florida. I will put up the flyer. He'll give me the information. I'll post it up on all social media so you can see that. And let's see what JC is saying. Oh, JC is saying some garlic, ginger, and lemon. Yeah, I know. Him and his garlic, ginger, lemon, and Cajun pepper. He made Gus do
yes,
it too. He made Gus chew the garlic and the ginger too. He was like, woof.
yeah. But you felt burned. You did feel good. So, going the natural path is the way to go.
Yep.
And, we're dealing with a lot of stuff in today's day and age. We have, if you've traveled a lot, if you've gone to South America in different places, you know that the food is different. It just that the food is not fertilized as well. It's denatured, meaning that it's over farmed. The animals are like pretty much abused. So I mean, when you order something like today, I ordered something like a desiccated liver. Okay, for me, but I couldn't order anything from America. I ordered, okay, I saw either I could order from New Zealand or Argentina. And in Argentina, from the Pampas, It's totally organic, totally grass-fed, no steroids added to the animal, no antibiotics, no anything. All of this is guaranteed. An animal that's range free, that has been happy, that is not taking stress, and that hasn't messed itself up. And
Right.
therefore, I know getting a real wholesome product. So I'm
Mhm.
saying we got to be picky
Colombia.
about these things.
Oh, somebody, Melly saying Colombia, the spring water is fresh, very fresh, so good.
Yeah.
I can imagine so because and JC says we got to do part 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I well, more than in more than one occasion. I was just there 2.5 years ago, and the food is different. The taste different. It's better. It is more wholesome. I mean, you know that this is not. I mean, you don't know, but you can feel that when you're biting into some of these things, it's like it may have not come from a feedlot, and
Yeah.
that's important.
Your
I mean,
system
any
feels
animal
it. Your s-
squeeze, all of that on a day-to-day basis. Think about how you feel when you're stressed out of your mind, and this animal is the same. You know, I
and
mean,
then
I
you're with
was.
the animal.
Hmm?
Yeah, then it's a different thing. Like I would spend my summer in Puerto Rico, so it was a very similar concept that the food always tastes better when I was there. I just asked my aunt, I go, why does your rice, arroz con gandules, taste different? Why is the rice different? Why the gandules different? Like why? It says everything's from here, everything's grown here. So there was a different taste in the food. Like I could never
Yeah,
mimic that same taste. You know what I mean? Like because the rice, everything was done there. The coffee was from there. We could see how they did the farming, and I noticed it here. Like I'm trying to grow stuff in my backyard. I can't. I have to put it in raised beds and get
right.
cow manure and get compost and get real good a rich soil so I can put the plants so they can grow. If I put it in the ground, it just takes forever because it's just sand. It's a sand. We don't have really good soil here, you know. So let's see what else. Oh, the cell. What else? Oh yeah. Now JC is saying now you have to be careful. There's a new label on meats if you do eat meats. That now they have lab grown meats. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
so you have to look at it. It'll say there's a little label on it. Huh?
They just they just threw that out of Italy. Italy is not allowing it to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. I understand that they're trying to stop that, but be very
I
careful.
hope so.
I would never touch anything like that. It's just
Well,
like GMOs. I mean, we have to be really careful. The food in the 70s, if you take a look at the population in the 70s and the population now, they were way thinner. Food was different. The process is different. The glycals that are in there everything is different. I mean, the levels of gluten, this is we become we're just marketing for people. I mean, I was a manufacturer myself, so I know these things. you
yeah,
know what is going to make my product addicting to the consumer? I want to make sure that they buy me again and again and again. So create the product, with this taste and with this thing. And you have what's called food scientists today, and that's what they do. That's what they get the big bucks for, is to
yeah,
get paid. What's going to make this person addicted to my product so they keep buying it? They're
right,
never filled up, and they keep
yeah,
eating. And
yeah,
and and that's the
yeah. And then I know Jason said he's like now sometimes he doesn't want to eat meat. Like he just gets like you know what I mean? Like just doesn't want to eat it because you go to the store and you're like, mm. And I've been doing a lot of beans. I've been cooking a lot of things with beans because they're high protein and they're great source of fiber, guys. You need fiber in your diet too. So you can eat a lot more beans. You got like 12 different types of beans out there. I've been making these I buy the net zero tortillas. So what it means is there's 19 grams of carbs, but it's 19 grams of fiber. So the fiber offsets the carbs. So you're getting
yeah,
90% of
makes a big
fiber. So if you haven't had fiber like that, do it slowly. but I've been doing that for a while. So I got those tortillas. I put some black beans in there and make them nice. I put a little cheese on there, add some avocado on there, and I got a healthy little snack basically with high protein,
Mhm.
high fiber. I did that the other day. We had like 22 grams of protein and like 25 grams of fiber between the beans and the tortilla and the other stuff I put on it. So that's a really good, meal. So you don't have to have beef or chicken or whatever. At least that's my opinion.
Well, I think it's a great thing. I do myself. I have either the black beans or the red ones, and I can tell you this: my stomach is better for it.
Hmm.
You know that it's digested differently, and not that we don't need meat. Meat has all the vitamins. The B vitamins. It has a lot.
It
Um,
does. I know
but
beef has certain things that we need.
especially
Um, if you're
which
what?
is what you should eat. Grass-fed beef can be a little bit expensive, so
Yeah.
people have to be sensitive. But you certainly, well, we know that America is the greatest country in the world. When it comes to food and some things, I look for other sources, to be honest with you, because I don't trust those things. If you're telling me technology, yes, America's the best. If you're telling me, other things, being able to, the AIs and all of these things that we're moving forward, fantastic. But the drug, you know, community and food community, I've been in the food community making, manufacturing nutritional supplements. So I know that we are not doing so well in that area. In many areas, doing really well. And that's why you have to pay extra attention to what you're buying. Third party certification is important. Make sure that they don't have any of the nasty ingredients in there that they shouldn't. No artificial anything, the artificial sweeteners that we have become
Mhm.
used to consuming in drinks and in food. Those are the things that have actually messed our hormones and made us fat. And people don't realize they have a lot more diet, soda, and then all of a sudden they eat a lot more food, not even knowing what
Oh,
happened, and their hormones get whacked out.
that's like the worst thing. Guys, don't do I've seen people do this all the time. Okay, I understand you're trying to cut carbs or something, but don't go to like McDonald's and then let me get a big diet Coke to offset the calories that you're already eating. Go to the Mexican restaurant. You get beans. You get there's ways you can eat outside that you can always customize your dinner, right? So if you go somewhere, I'll ask for more, maybe more salad or more greens, or that green beans or something like that. Brussels sprouts, right? I try to add a vegetable. If not, add some beans to something. You got more protein. So there's always ways to add stuff to your plate, that are at home, to make it beneficial. But I do want to say something. I tell people too, everything in excess is not good, right? So we have to watch things. It's everything in moderation. And I know there's people out there, there's a whole movement out there about people are saying that, well, even if it has like some chemicals, you would have to drink so much of it to damage yourself. So what do you say about that? Like, how do you say to those people that think, oh, it's so little that the scientists say because it's just this much, you would have to drink 1,000 gallons of Coke or whatever brand of soda to get yourself sick?
I wouldn't go along with that program. I mean, that's you could take a look at like the food pyramid. You know that the food pyramid has been changed from what it used to be. Okay, now of course, without a doubt, meats are at the top of the list. Fat is up there, and it's no longer these nasty carbohydrates that they had and all this other stuff that was there. That food pyramid, the old food pyramid, is the stuff that made everybody in America sick. And now all the new information is coming out, which is not even that new, but now, they
Right,
know for a fact that the
right.
American diet is sick, is a sick diet. And, we need to change all of this stuff at schools. You can't be feeding kids all of this stuff. I mean, there's more
Yeah,
obesity with
yeah.
today, any other time.
Oh,
It's
you,
not too late to switch this stuff around, but we
yep.
got to get going. Got to get going fast.
Now, let me tell you guys I know we went off the breath work, but it all intertwines with your life. With all the lives, I know the breath work is what keeps you leveled, right? Keeps you leveled. And then, of course, we talk about wellness here. So all these things incorporate into the lifestyle change that you want to incorporate with yourself. So the breath work is one, being conscious of what you eat. And again, once you start doing the breath work and you start clearing your mind, then you're rebooting your mindset, like I say, and you start thinking clear and you're like, wait a second, maybe I can do it differently. Oh, maybe I can eat this. So quick story, and then I gotta run because I'm starving. But I know JC's taking care of the dinner. So but that
I have no
yeah.
tea on this side, so I got to take care of it myself.
So yeah, so I want to say this. So I had one of my children was a little overweight during his like 12, 13 years old, and the doctors were like, he's getting to be at a certain fat level. It's not good. His fat level was high due to his diet, between his father's house and my house, just being fast and getting fast food and just eat this fast or eat pizza or whatever it is. His level of fat intake was very high and sugar was very high. And he was saying that he could be pre-diabetic. And I was like, no, 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 no. Wait a second. Game changer. So he understood. So then, so now at that time he started changing. He started just drinking water, or sometimes he would drink Gatorade, but most of the time with water with some lemon or whatever. And then he stopped the pizza, he stopped the McDonald's, he stopped all the fast food, starting eating the grilled chicken at home with vegetables, maybe rice and beans at home. And the weight started slowly but surely. And now, I mean, this has been a long time. He's 26 now, but he is, like a bodybuilder. He's all cut up and he lifts weights and super healthy, reversed everything. No diabetes, no heart cholesterol problems. He got rid of the fat, but he was determined as a child. He knew, he understood. I said, honey, we have to change your diet. And he's like, okay, no problem. I'll do what I have to do. I don't want to be like that. So, it can be done. You can reverse it. So,
Of course.
Mommy Tonga was saying here, my granddaughter's gained weight if she eats in school. The school diet is horrible. Yeah, it really
Horrible.
is. It really, really is. And I don't know what they're going to do about it, because the companies that run the school, there's companies that come and run the cafeteria. So we have to get to those companies, find out what those companies are. And I don't know how we can do it. They have to change these diets, all this frozen food that they give, all this processed food they give kids at school. And now there's more stuff out there. So they throw more things in there, and
Well, what you have to do with your government, but something has to be done. You have to get there with other kids' parents, because 80% of the population's overweight. I go down to Argentina; they have yerba mate and everything. It's the reverse.
yeah,
20%.
yeah,
It's either regular or on the thin side.
yeah.
It's walk a lot more. There's no such thing as handicap spaces. They may have like the turf that goes up,
That's true. That's true.
that's they treat everybody the same way. Meaning that you have to park all the way out there. Walk. You need to walk. You're the person that needs to do more walking.
Yeah.
But
It's
we
true.
want to.
We get lazy, and we have a car, so we want to drive everywhere. At least in New York, when I lived in New York, I walked everywhere. We would walk several miles just to get to the train. Just we walk shopping, window shopping, my mother and I, we would walk for miles and get to the subway with no problem in high heels back then too. So, but anyway, I know we go off tangent, but that's how we do it here. We're always talking about wellness. But I want to thank Gus for being here. We're going to have a guest, like JC said, we're going to have several parts. We're going to have him come back where hopefully he'll do a virtual. We want to set up maybe a virtual class that you're going to do, like live, that you're going to do in South Florida, that you can do a virtual one, and we'll get people to sign up for the virtual one and see how it goes, and people can practice, Oh yeah,
Sounds
Mommy
good.
Song was saying she used to walk a lot in Puerto Rico. Yeah, everywhere. Yep, yep. And she was also mentioning. She mentioned that the other day she decided to sit in the sun and took a moment in the morning sunshine. That is beautiful. That is like one
Mhm.
of the best things you can do is in the morning go to that first early morning sun is so good. And just sit out there and you could just meditate outside for 20 minutes. Get yourself ready for the day and get yourself geared
You-
up to take care of all those grandkids you have, you know? So anyway, thank you Gus so much. And we'll be back again with you, all right? Thank you. I'm gonna clap because I don't know where the clapper is. Hey! Woo! No. Thank you Gus so much for all that information. It's great. And I will put up your other stuff later for everybody.
Okay. Take care.
Take
Bye bye.
care. Bye. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this conversation today. Yeah, the sun heals. Doesn't it feel like that the sun heals you? Thank you so much for being here today. Um, I'm on multiple platforms, just trying to get back to the swing of things. On Tuesday night, we always do interviews, so you know this. And then I'll be back tomorrow's Wednesday. I'll be back at my normal time at 12:30 at lunchtime, and we'll keep talking about breath work this week. So breath work week. So that way we'll talk about it and keep learning about it, and you can try it out and try some different breath works out there. So calm your nervous system. So yeah, so thank you so much. Oh, who's that? Hey Jenny, how are you? Hi girl. Yeah, I'm almost close to the end. I've been here an hour and change. What time is it? An hour and almost an hour and a half, and I'm starving. But thank you for the heartbeat and thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm interacting with like a couple of platforms at the same time. So I'm like looking at different things here. But and thank you, Mami Songa, for being here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm back on the platform, girls. So we're gonna be streaming on all the platforms again on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So that way we can um how do you call it? Reach more people. So especially we have a lot of things going on. We're gonna be going to Alabama soon. We got nominated for a Legends Award, me and JC, for Spanglish Entertainment. So I'm very excited about that and for all the stuff that we're doing in the community. So I appreciate you guys. Again, thank you. This is Alida Hernandez, Rebooted Mindset. And remember, it's never too late to reboot your mindset. See you tomorrow. Bye.